A good morning to one and all present here. So today we will be discussing the various models of communication. So have you ever wondered how information gets from point A to point B? In communication theory, the simplest way to understand this is through the lens of linear model of communication. Think of it like a one-way street or sending a text message to someone who can't reply. As we can see in the image, it's a step-by-step flow where a message moves in one direction strictly from the sender to the receiver. Let's break down the six elements of this model so you can ace your exams or presentation. First one is sender or the origin. It is the person who has an idea or information to share. This is the starting point. The sender is the source who conceives an idea, encodes it into words, symbols, or gestures, and decides it needs to be shared. Number two, we have the message or the content. This is the information or idea that the sender wants to convey. This is the actual substance being transmitted. It could be a spoken speech, a written email, a song, or a news broadcast. Number third, we have channel or the medium. The medium is used to transmit the message. This is the vehicle that carries the message. In modern times, this could be a television broadcast, a radio wave, a printed book, or even a YouTube video like this one. Number four, we have the receiver, or we can say the target. This is the person who receives the message, the individual or the audience at the arrival end of the channel. They are the passive destination of the communication box. Number fifth, we have the decoding or processing. The receiver interprets and makes meaning of the message. When the receiver gets the message, the brain has to work to unpack it. Decoding is how the mind translates the words or symbols back into thoughts and concepts. Number six, we have understanding or the goal. The message is understood as intended by the sender. This is the ideal destination. Communication is successful in this model when the receiver's decoded meaning perfectly matches what the sender originally intended. The absolute defining feature of this model, as highlighted at the bottom of the slide, is that it is a linear process in one direction. There is no feedback loop. The receiver does not reply. So, real world examples of this could be mass media, public speaking. While this model is great for its simplicity, it has few major flaws that communication scholars point out. Number one, there is the no scope for feedback, and number two, it assumes perfect success. In the last slide, we have looked at a linear model where communication is a simple one-way street. But let's be honest, real life doesn't work that way. When we talk to someone, they nod, they frown, or they interrupt you. Communication isn't a straight line, it's a loop. Today, we are breaking down the transactional or the circular model of communication using this graphic. As the subtitle highlights here, communication is a two-way ongoing process where both parties are simultaneously senders and receivers. Let's unpack how this works and why it is completely changing the game. Number one, what it says in this image is that the sender or the receiver, who in turn we can say are the interpreters. Notice how both individuals in the diagram have the same exact title. Unlike the linear model, nobody is just a passive listener in here. While you are speaking, that means you are the sender. You are also watching the other person's facial expression. That means you are the receiver at the same time. You are constantly interpreting cues in real time. Encoding and decoding happens on both sides. Encoding, where the sender forms the message, and decoding, where the receiver interprets the message. And it is repeated on both left and right sides of the circle. Because roles swap instantly, both people are continuously encoding through words and decoding responses at the same time. It is a continuous cognitive dance, you can see. Here, message meets feedback. The top curve represents the message traveling out, and the bottom curve represents the feedback. Feedback is the crucial missing piece from the linear model. It's the response, the reply, or even a silent shock that completes the circle. And we cannot ignore the internal and the external factors that may affect our understanding. Sitting right at the center of this model is noise. It's not just loud sounds outside. It can be external, like a bad phone connection, or internal, like being tired, distracted, or bringing your own cultural biases to the conversation, which ultimately alters how a message is understood. So coming to its feature, it is a two-way process. Number second, it has simultaneous roles. Number third, it is influenced by noise. And number four, it is continuous and dynamic. Where do we see this model in action? Examples would be a face-to-face chat, interactive seminar, or it could be a live stream. So far, we have looked at general linear and circular frameworks, but if you want to understand where modern communication theory truly began, we have to look at a model designed by a mathematician and a scientist in the late 1940s. So, we are breaking down the Shannon Weaver model of communication using the layout in the slide. Originally engineered for Bell Laboratories to mirror telephone and radio technology, this is a mathematical model that explains how information is transmitted from a sender to a receiver over a channel. Let's look at the specialized technical steps. Number one is the information source. It is the origin of the message or information. Think of this as the human mind or the brain that decides what text, data, or concept needs to be sent out. Number two, we have transmitter, which converts the masses into signals suitable for transmission. Notice the microchip icon in the image. This is a purely technical step. In telephony, this is the mouthpiece converting your voice into electrical signals. In everyday communication, it's the vocal cords or a keyboard translating thoughts into transmittable code. Third, we have the channel, the medium through which the signal is transmitted. This is the physical wire, the radio frequency, or the airwaves carrying the encoded signal from point A to point B. Number four, we have receiver or the decoder, who converts the received signals back into the messages. This acts as the mirror image of the transmitter. It takes the incoming electrical signals, sound waves, or data packets and reconstructs them into something a human can comprehend. Fifth, we have the destination, the intended recipient of the message or the final stop. This is the mind of the person sitting at the other end of the line listening to or reading the message. Number six, we have noise. Noise could be referred to as any unwanted interference that may affect the signal and distort the message. Situated directly underneath the channel, this model was the first to explicitly introduce the concept of noise as a mathematical variable. It targets anything that interrupts the signal mid-flight, like static on a phone line, a blurry screen, or drop packets on Wi-Fi. Because Claude Chanel and Warren Weaver designed this with electronic communication in mind, it treats human interaction a bit like a machine. It's brilliant for understanding digital networks, telecommunications, and media broadcasting, but it famously leaves out the psychological messiness of human feedback. Here is our next installment for your script. We have the Aristotle's models of communication. As the subtitle notes, this is a classical speaker-centered linear model focused on persuasive speaking. If you ever have to give a public speech, pitch an idea, or write a persuasive essay, Aristotle practically invented the blueprint for it. Let's decode it. First, we have the speaker. It is the primary element and the source of the communication. And the bottom box shows use logos, pathos, and ethos to influence the messages. In this model, the speaker holds all the power, the art directive force. Aristotle pointed out that to be effective, a speaker must have three classical appeals: ethos, which is credibility or authority; pathos, which is the emotional connection; and logos, which means logic and reasoning. Secondly, we have speech, the message crafted to be coherent and persuasive. It is a formal address prepared by the speaker. This isn't just casual everyday talk, it's a carefully structured formal address. The speaker designs the words carefully to target an audience mindset. Number third, we have the occasion. It determines the purpose and nature of the message. It is the specific context or event of the speech. This is a brilliant inclusion by Aristotle. The occasion means that the setting determines the content. A political rally speech is entirely different from a courtroom defense or a funeral eulogy. The environment dictates the rules of the speech. Number four, we have audience, the desired recipient of the persuasive message, the targeted listeners or public that has to be influenced. The audience is passive here, their main job is to listen. However, the speaker must deeply analyze the audience beforehand to know what will successfully sway them. For Aristotle, communication isn't just about sharing information, it's about persuasion. The success of the communication is judged entirely by the effect. Did the audience change their minds, vote for the speaker, or take action? Where do we see Aristotle's model today? It's alive and well in TED Talks, political speeches, courtroom closing arguments, and even product launch keynotes. Think Steve Jobs unveiling the iPhone. It's a beautifully simple reminder that public speaking is an art engineered for an audience. That covers Aristotle's classical framework. Now that we have covered linear, circular, technical, and rhetorical models in this series, which one do you find most useful for your studies? Let me know in the comments below.